Welcome back. Let's talk about Seattle, Washington, because there's 74,000 people that live there, and it could be important to them, and it could be important to you as well. So thank you for joining me, and let's just jump in. Now, if you're new to my channel, I like to cover the areas outside the Seattle city limits for the most part, as well as the towns, zip codes, and municipalities that are out there. But I'm going to give you a breakdown of Seattle as a whole because it's the beginning of March, and I want to go into the sales data for February. So let's just jump into this. And again, this is just a focus on Seattle, and this is not local to any of the 43 zip codes that are inside of Seattle. This is just specifically Seattle as a whole. So as a whole, Seattle, Washington is obviously located in Washington. It's in the North Puget Sound area, and it's located between the Puget Sound and also Lake Washington. Going all the way down the center of it is I-5. And then it also connects with I-90 that's moving east to west, as well as 520. Now, if you're a Californian, we call it I-5, not the 5. And I-90 goes all the way out to Chicago. So if you want to get some deep dish pizza out there, just go ahead and get it if you want. But the Seattle Space Needle is located right in the center of it. And that's what we use for a point of reference a lot of the times. Now let's go into the actual demographics of Seattle. So inside of Seattle, like I said, there were 737,000 people that live there, and of those persons, 71% of them are employed. Also, their education level is 67% or higher have bachelor degrees or higher inside of this area. So it's a little more of affluent, and that also goes into our median household income, which is $115,000 a year. Again, this is median, this is not average. So if you line up all of the incomes from left to right, lowest to highest, it would be the median is the middle of that. So again, this is not the average income, this is the median income. Now, also the household units, there's about 368,000 household units inside of Seattle as a whole. This includes rentals, condos, single family, basically anything, boat slips, everything like that. And that breaks down to about 2 persons in each household. Now that we have a general idea of what's going on here, let's jump into the numbers. Because I spent the better half of this morning putting together a 5,300 line document here on the prices in the last 5 years inside of Seattle, Washington, versus every single February for the last 5 years. Now, if you're good at Excel, don't tell anyone because they're going to ask you to start breaking things down like this. And it took, obviously, about 2.5 hours this morning. So let's just go into what our average house looks like. Our average house inside of Seattle, Washington, based on the numbers that I came out with, was 1,585 square feet, 2.5 beds, and 2 baths. Now we're going to call that 1,600 square feet just for a rounding error. And at the same time, I want to go over some of the available homes that we have on the market right now. So the available homes right now that we have on market, there's 1,074 homes available for purchase inside of Seattle, Washington. And this is for condos and single family. All my data has condos and single family, and I don't differentiate between the two of them because a lot of the condos get listed as single families and single families get listed as condos sometimes, and also townhouses, they go left or right sometimes. And I go through and I try to take out as many of the duplicates as possible. But again, like I said, it was a 5,300 line document today. And I spent about 2.5 hours cleaning it up the best I can. So these numbers are within a small margin of error. So the available homes right now inside of Washington, inside of Seattle, Washington, like I said, the average house is about 1,600 square feet, and it's 2.5 beds and 2.5 baths. What that comes out to is just about $1.1 million inside of Seattle if you want to buy the average house. So if you just come up, call me on the phone, you call me right here, here's my number, and you're like, hey Victor, I want to buy a house in Seattle. I'd say the average house inside of Seattle is 1,600 square feet. That includes condos, townhouses, and single family. And what that comes out to, it's going to be about It's going to be about $1.1 million. Now, the average days on market for the homes that are available right now are about 67 days on market, so a little over 2 months. Now, this is only Seattle, and this is Seattle as a whole. This is not any of the zip codes or all the little individual boroughs. So when you actually go into this with your real estate agent or me, you're going to be able to see something a little more hyper local. But this is if you just bought a house right now. Also, we're going to get back to this number later, but there's a number here that I have. It's $679. That's the price per square foot on a breakdown for the available homes to be purchased right now. And again, like I said, if you want to buy that average house, what it comes out to is about $1.1 million. And that's the asking price. Now, for the last 5 years of data, we're going to start in February 2020. In February 2020, let me get down to the end of this. It's a very long document. But in February 2020, right before the pandemic, if you bought the average house, it would cost you roughly $847,000. And again, that is a 1585 square foot, 2.5 bed, 2 bath home inside of Seattle, Washington. Now, this does not account for any kind of condition, if it has 2 beds or none, that kind of thing. So just, again, remember, this is the average house based on our numbers. Now, if you waited 1 year and you had to buy that house again in 2021, 1 year into the pandemic roughly, the average house would have cost you $835,000. So it went down about $12,000, not a huge amount of money. Now, if you waited 1 more year and you bought this house, and you had to buy this house inside of February 2022, in the middle of the bidding wars and such, it went up 16%. That average house now costs $973,000. That's a lot of money. That increased, like I said, 16%, and that came out to about $140,000 worth of appreciation in 1 year. To give you an idea, that is an appreciation of about 7 years, 5 to 7 years worth of appreciation that you see on a normal house. That's a lot. Now, if you waited in February 2023, what it would come out to is $873,000. So it lost $100,000 inside of 1 year, and that's just because of the fluctuations. Interest rates started to change, and that's where you have it right there. Also, right about this time last year, inside of March, and this is right before the Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and the First Republic went down, but bank failures happened inside of March, and this is right before that. Now, if you waited again and you bought this house literally last month, you called me and you said, "Hey, Victor, I want to buy this house. We closed on it last month." It would cost you on average, and again, this is a 1585 square foot house that's 2 beds, 2.5 bath. It would cost you $938,000. So a little bit of it, of the 2022 appreciation has come back, and there's still appreciation of about, let me see, what is that? $90,000. From about $88,000 from the beginning of the COVID period. So as you can tell, the prices are getting close to the average, but they're still high. Now, I want to go over the sales volume in this, because the volume also adds to the velocity of the homes being sold. The sales volume inside of February 2022, there was 792 homes were sold, and in 1 year later, it increased 17% in February 2021 to 932 homes sold. In February 2022, there was a 14% pullback. This is after the interest rates started to change. And again, that was a 14% pullback, and there was about 130 homes that didn't get sold. Now, in February 2023, this is when interest rates were going into 6.25, 6.5, 6.75 interest rates. Our interest rates were at 5. Our sales volume at that time were 595 closed sales inside of February 2023. Again, these are closed sales. They take a while to actually come through. And again, that's a 25% drop from the year before. This last February 2024, we've seen a small uptick on this, and we had 646 homes sold inside of February. Now, I also want to talk to you about how long it takes to sell a house. Typically, it takes between 30 and 60 days to actually close on a house, unless it's a cash offer that has a 10-day close. So now that you know, usually the lags are about a month to 2 months behind where the interest rates are. So when we start getting March numbers, I think we're going to have a bit more of a pullback at that point in time. So yes, our values have ticked up just a tight little amount, as well as the sales volume ticked up just barely. It is still below the February 2020 and the February 2021 and the February 2022 marker. So just so you know, sales are still low. I want to compare rents versus cost of mortgage. Now, if you were to rent this average house, that's 1,585 square feet, this house would roughly cost you $4,200 to rent. Now, if you want to turn around and buy it, and this is very specific, if you want to buy it and you're putting $80,000 down on this, and again, the purchase price is going to be about $940,000, it will come out to just under $6,000 a month. And that's before your taxes, your insurance, your HOAs, or any kind of special assessments. So keep that in mind. Also, this is specifically using today's interest rates inside of Investopedia. That's 7.43. Yesterday, I got a text message from one of my lenders, and they were telling me that they can get 6 3/4. I don't believe that, because this is the national averages and the state averages from what's available with 20% down, and for people that have interest that have credit scores between 700 and 760. Whenever you see the teaser rates, and you need to be very careful about this, whenever you see a teaser rate of something that sounds really too good to be true, take a look at the fine print, because I saw one in my email a couple of days ago. It was 40% down, and they were only offering it to anyone who had a 840 or above. So again, that's not going to be anybody basically. So keep that stuff in mind when you actually go through this kind of thing. So the reason why I do this is because I want to give you an idea of what's out there inside the market. Because if you want to turn around and you want to buy this average house, that is, again, 1,585 square feet, 2.5 bedrooms, 2 bath inside of Seattle, Washington, it's going to cost you about $940,000 for roughly a townhouse or a single family house. And that's based on your condition and such. You need to talk to a real estate agent. Feel free to get a hold of me. You can reach me right here. This is how you get a hold of me. And also, it was lovely working with you today. I really want to work with you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.